20 photos that will turn your view of history upside down. As modern gadgets continue to provide a means to take numerous meaningless photos, old historical pictures become more interesting to look at. Old images contain pure emotions, tell us the whole life stories of the people in them, and capture the spirit of the time. Such pictures are silent witnesses to the events of an era that will never be repeated on this earth. Unless someone invents the time machine, of course. We chose the 20 most fascinating historical shots that may surprise you and change your outlook on the past forever. See for yourself. Number 20. The one-of-a-kind Florida process. An exotic dancer from Clearwater, Florida, USA, defends herself after being arrested by police for wearing underwear that was too revealing during her performance. The photo shows a judicial experiment in which the woman tries to prove to the judge that she's entirely innocent of violating public order by demonstrating that her underwear is too large to show any of her goods. The photo became so popular that it was republished in multiple newspapers and magazines, including Playboy. Such an unusual way of defense worked. The woman was acquitted of all charges. Number 19. Retro vending machines. You can see a machine for spraying perfume, which was quite common in 1952. The mechanism is simple. Put your money in, press the plunger, and voila! These devices usually contain classic and elegant fragrances. For example, Chanel No. 5. If you're feeling nostalgic, you can still find some of these vintage coin-operated perfume dispensers on eBay. Number 18. Young Moby on top of the world. This picture was taken in 1987 when Moby was only 22 years old. At the time, he played the guitar in the hardcore punk band called Vatican Commandos and worked as a DJ in different nightclubs. 2 years later, he moved to New York and released his first single, paving his way to becoming the Moby we all know and love today. Number 17. Abandoned vehicles in Chernobyl. Catastrophic nuclear accident at Chernobyl, which occurred on the 26th of April, 1986, is still considered to be one of the biggest energy accidents ever. It deeply affected not only hundreds of people, but the whole area too. After the accident, numerous vehicles were abandoned by their owners, who were evacuated from the danger zone. Those cars and motorcycles quickly became impossible to use. They absorbed way too much radiation. Number 16. Decorative bags for flour. In the 1930s, America was going through a very tough period of economic crisis, which was later called the Great Depression. A lot of people lost their jobs and couldn't provide for their families. People were left with no choice but to constantly save money and use the same things over and over again. During these difficult years, flour companies learned that many poor mothers used flour bags to make clothing for their children and began selling their flour in different decorative and color bags. This thoughtful improvement helped a lot of women survive those challenging times. Number 15. The little son of a regiment. This photo of a 6-year-old Seryosa Alishkov was taken in 1942. His mother and brother were executed by Hitler's forces. Later, he became the youngest soldier who participated in the Battle of Stalingrad. During the fight, he saved the life of a regimental commander and was awarded the Medal for Combat Service for his courage and bravery. His example continues to inspire people to this day. Number 14. Koala drinks from a spoon. This adorable picture was taken in Australia in 1900. Australia has quite rich and a beautiful animal kingdom, and koalas are considered to be one of the most popular animals in the country. Here you can see a domesticated koala trying to drink a beverage from a spoon. Easily the cutest thing ever. Number 13. Dinosaur Lake. Even in 1916, museums were full of interesting and mysterious things from the past. For example, a Diplodocus forelimb that museum staff is trying to assemble in this photo. It's never easy to organize and coordinate a whole exhibition for a big museum, but it seems to be quite fascinating, isn't it? Number 12. American astronauts learning Russian. One of the biggest events of 1975 was the first joint US-Soviet spaceflight Soyuz Apollo program, which also included some scientific and technical experiments. For this mission, both American and Russian crews started to learn each other's languages. This photo was taken in 1974 during one of the Russian lessons that astronauts Donald Slayton and Thomas Stafford attended. Thomas Stafford later confessed that learning Russian was the hardest thing he had to do to prepare for this historic flight. Number 11. Friedrich Nietzsche in the Asylum. Friedrich Nietzsche is one of the most intriguing people in the history of philosophy. His works had, and continue to have, a tremendous influence. However, in 1889, he had a psychotic breakdown and was admitted to the asylum. Some sources say that Nietzsche began to believe himself to be different people, mostly historical figures. He died in the asylum at the age of 56. Number 10. Loggers. This photo was taken in Portland in 1915 by the commercial photographers. During this period, a lot of big trees were hewed by loggers who stood on special platforms to be able to go high enough. Nowadays, Portland has a couple of national parks with beautiful and calming nature. Number 9. A burlesque star, Sherry Britton. Sherry Britton mostly performed in clubs and was a bright star of the 1930s and 1940s golden age of burlesque. She was also entertaining troops during the World War II and was honored as Brigadier General by President Roosevelt. Later, she started working in theater productions and singing in a cabaret. As it was once said, Britton had a figure to die for. She had a 46-centimeter waist while being 5 foot 3 inches. Number 8. Audrey Hepburn's first passport. Audrey Hepburn is widely known for her talent and beauty. She became the icon of elegance and grace for women all around the world. There are endless photos of Audrey on the internet and in different books, but this one is quite rare. It's a picture of Hepburn's passport, which she took out in Brussels in 1936. Who would have known what a huge star this little girl will become? Number 7. Cyclists before the race. This picture was taken in 1973 and captures a couple of cyclists just minutes before the Giro d'Italia race. It's one of the Grand Tour races. That year, it concluded with a 197-kilometer mass start stage. So you can probably imagine how much preparation went into this. Giro d'Italia is annually held to this day for all the cycling fans to see. Number 6. Julia Roberts on Malibu Beach. Julia Roberts became a worldwide celebrity after starring in the leading role in Pretty Woman in 1990. This role opened a lot of doors and also earned her an Oscar nomination. Julia Roberts is still adored by many for her talent, charisma, and endearing smile. Truly a pretty woman. Number 5. A coat sale. The most unusual sale was held in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1936. A clothier, who had way too many spring and winter coats, found a creative solution. He completely covered his store building from top to bottom with different coats. Later, the police demanded to remove all these clothes, but the main aim was already achieved. The clothier sold most of the overcoats. Number 4. Jimi Hendrix with his first electric guitar. In this picture, Jimi Hendrix is only 15 years old, holding an electric guitar. He first developed his interest in music when he found a ukulele with a single string. He quickly started to learn by ear and play single notes. Everything else is history now. Hendrix became one of the most loved and respected rock guitarists, as well as being genius singer and songwriter. Number 3. Dancing on the Roof. In 1925, 5 ballet dancers were photographed dancing freely and bravely on the roof of a skyscraper in New York. They were smiling and seemingly felt comfortable while being only 2 or 3 steps away from the edge. Beautiful, quite dangerous, right? Number 2. Guarding at all costs. In 1974, Ontario's Grand River broke its banks, causing the Great Flood. Most of the locals were terrified. But not John Shuttleworth, who calmly stood right next to the pharmacy on the corner of two streets, even when the water came up to his waist. Only the waiters were keeping him dry. Luckily, no one died during such an intense water flood. Number 1. 1895's Prom Party. Prom parties always draw everyone's attention, and in 1895 it was no different. But the fashion was more traditional. Most of the dresses were white with a big bow on the back. Former schoolgirls were wearing their hair up while holding flowers. Unfortunately, today all this became a thing of the past. But one thing remains certain. Prom is still one of the biggest events in any person's life. Which one of these photos did you like the most? Leave your opinion in the comments section below. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit the like button below the video and share it with your friends. Public order by demonstrating that her underwear is too large to show any of her goods. The photo became so popular that it was republished in multiple newspapers and magazines, including Playboy. Such an unusual way of defense worked. The woman was acquitted of all charges. Number 19. Retro vending machines. Whole life stories of the people in them and capture the spirit of the time. Such pictures are silent witnesses to the events of an era that will never be repeated on this earth. Unless someone invents the time machine, of course. We chose the 20 most fascinating historical shots that may surprise you and change your outlook on the past forever. See for yourself. "20 photos that will turn your view of history upside down." As modern gadgets continue to provide a means to take numerous meaningless photos, old historical pictures become more interesting to look at. Old images contain pure emotions, tell us the whole. You can see a machine for spraying perfume, which was quite common in 1952. The mechanism is simple. Put your money in, press the plunger, and voila! These devices usually contain classic and elegant fragrances. For example, Chanel No. 5. If you're feeling nostalgic, you can still find some of these vintage coin-operated perfume dispensers on eBay. Number 20. The one-of-a-kind Florida process. An exotic dancer from Clearwater, Florida, USA, defends herself after being arrested by police for wearing underwear that was too revealing during her performance. The photo shows a judicial experiment in which the woman tries to prove to the judge that she's entirely innocent of violating